everyone, thanks for tuning in to G's Crafty Creations tutorial on how to do water slide on acrylic keychain blanks. So let me show you some of the items that you're going to be needing in order to do this. You will need your water slide images, and I'm going to be doing two different ones here. These I had already printed out and they are sealed. We'll talk about that in a minute. You're going to need a mixing cup. This tutorial I'm going to use UV resin instead of using epoxy. So you'll need your mixing cup, you'll need your UV resin. This is the one I'm going to use tonight, and I got this off of Amazon. You'll need a silicone makeup brush that I'm going to use to mix the glitter with the UV resin and apply it to my blank. You'll need your glitter. I'm using a white color shift glitter. You'll need your UV lamp, and then just a pick or something to get the brown paper backing off of your keychains. You'll also need a bowl of water. This is, well, it was lukewarm. It can be warm or cold. I've read that if it was warm, it works faster for the water slide, but it doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna show you the brand of water slide I bought. It's the Haze Paper water slide. I got this off of Amazon, and that's what comes with it, and on the back of it tells you the instructions. So you'll just print on your water slide paper using either an inkjet or a laser printer. You do have to buy the water slide paper that matches your printer. So I have an inkjet printer, so I make sure I bought the one for inkjet. If you have a laser printer, you want to make sure you buy the water slide paper that says for laser printer. Also, for lighter colored backgrounds that you're going to be putting the water slide on, you want to use the transparent or clear water slide. If you're going to be putting it on a dark background like a black or a navy blue or something, you want to make sure you get white decal paper. So you want to print it first. You're going to take a sealer and seal it. Many people that I've seen have used the Krylon triple thick spray, which I've used, and that's what these ones are sealed with. And I think I sealed them a little heavily, so we'll see how these work out tonight. The first time I did it, or the first few times I did it, it worked perfectly, and I was able to make logos with it and put it on keychains. So you want to make sure you just follow the directions on how to seal. Then you're going to cut your images, or cut around your image. You're going to put it in a bowl of water until the image is sliding off of the backing. You want to add it to whatever surface you're going to put it on, and then you want to let it dry. This says you can put it in the oven, but you know, some items you're not putting in the oven, so you just want to make sure it dries. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the back of each of these blanks with the glitter. So I don't need these at the second, so I'm just going to move this to the side. Alright, so again, I have my silicone paintbrush. This, I'm going to just remove the backing, and since right now there's nothing on either side of these, it doesn't matter which side you choose, so I'm just going to take one side of the brown paper backing protective layer off of the acrylic. And then I'm going to get my little mixing bowl here and my UV resin. And I'm just gonna pour some of the resin inside the mixing bowl. And then I'm gonna add my glitter. And then we're just gonna mix it up. I don't know if you guys can see how the consistency is. It's not really runny. It's kind of thick, almost like a paste. And that's how I like to use mine. You can do a thinner if you'd like. Also, adding the white glitter is not going to give you like a truly solid backing. It's going to kind of be a little translucent, but not a whole lot. So I'm gonna do it this way first, and then I'm just gonna add to my blank. If you have to make more and add more, that's fine. Just do a little at a time. And just go all the way to the edges. Now I will say that UV resin is not self-leveling like epoxy. So you really have to kind of work at it to make it level. The brand that I have now, that I'm showing in the tutorial, is kind of self-leveling, but not 100%. The advantages of using the UV resin is that it has a way faster cure time than epoxy does. And again, the slightly disadvantage is that it doesn't self-level. I'm going to set that to the side. Another thing I forgot to mention that you need to have is a lighter, a small torch, or a heat gun to get out bubbles. So I'm just going to use a regular lighter I got from the dollar store. I'm just kind of going to go over it. And this will get out any type of air bubbles. Now on this one, I'm not too worried about it because it's the glitter. You're not really going to see it anyways. And I'm going to seal just a regular clear coat over top of this, and you'll see why. So I'm just going to push this underneath of my lamp. I'm going to set it for the 60 seconds I put this over. It's very bright, and that will instantly cure. I do mine probably 3 times on 60 seconds, so obviously 3 minutes. It should cure in about anywhere from 2 to 4 minutes, depending on how thick your layer of UV resin is. So while that's doing that, I'm going to just start mixing up another batch for the other one here. And you see how runny that is when it comes out? Alright, so I'm going to start there. Now this one, I just want to show you the difference between just clear with glitter or using a tinted UV resin. Let me just add some white acrylic to this so I can have kind of a white base or a whiter base. So I'm just gonna add a couple drops of acrylic paint, and this is the one I just got from Michael's, I think. That's like $1 or something. I'm just gonna mix that up. And you see how it's not as translucent, sorry. And then of course I'm going to add more glitter. You can start with a little glitter and work your way up to adding more. You just have to find what works best for you. And I'm gonna add some more because that's still a little runny for my liking. And we all want more glitter. This button one more time. I will say, if you don't cover your lamp and you're working on something else, like if I didn't have this covered and this was really close, it would cure the resin that's in this mixing bowl because it's still kind of getting those UV rays. So just be careful if you're mixing or adding UV resin to a keychain while the lamp is actually on. So it was 2 minutes. I'm going to do one more. UV resin is also much like epoxy. If you're not careful, it will spill over the edges, especially if you're not adding glitter to it and it's in the thinner state. It will definitely run over. I will say I have tried another brand of the UV resin from the Miniature Sweet website, I think it was. It was in a similar bottle, but it had like a black label. and it wasn't semi self-leveling like this one is. I actually really like this one a lot better. Slide this one and the same amount of time. And let's look at this one. It's completely dry, not sticky to the touch or anything like that. Actually, the edges are a little bit, so I might put that under for 1 more minute. But if you can see how when you mix the UV resin in with glitter, you see how it kind of gives you that texture to it. Some people like that. I'm personally not a fan, so I just do a thin layer of resin over top of that. But so pretty, super sparkly. So I'm just going to add it directly on there. And because I have glitter on this, I don't want glitter to get into my top coat or my final coat. So I'm just going to take a baby wipe and make sure all the glitter's off. I'm just gonna pick this up so I can see what areas might still need resin. Sometimes I kind of just shake it back and forth a little bit. It kind of levels it out also. And I'm just gonna put a little bit more. You should wear gloves too, by the way. I don't always. And then again, I'm going to take the lighter. And with glitter on there, it's kind of hard to see if there's any little bubbles left. So I'm just gonna move this over and I'm gonna pop this under the lamp with the other one. And we'll be right back in about 3 minutes. Okay, so the keychains are both completely cured. They're not sticky to the touch. Sorry, my fingers are a little wet. They're not sticky to the touch or anything, and I just want to show you the difference between the two that I did. So this is the first one. You see it's still got kind of a little texture, but not as much. And because this is the one that we did not add the white acrylic into, it kind of has like more of a silverish type undertone to it, and it's going, you can kind of see the brown backing on the other side. This is the one that we added the white acrylic paint to, and they're both the same glitters. So you can kind of see. This is still really white, it's just kind of has like a silver tint to it. So they're both really pretty. So we're just gonna do the two. So now I'm just going to start the water slide. So I have my bowl of water and my 2 water slide decals for my 2 keychains. I'm going to take the other side of the backing off. If I can get it off this time. And there you have it. And you can kind of see like behind it, or see through it. And here is this one. And you really can't see through that one. And this is the one with the white acrylic paint in it. So even adding just a little paint or something to the resin will give you 2 different color effects to it, which is awesome. All right, so here we go. So what you want to do is make sure you have your water slide image already cut out and sealed with the clear spray paint sealer. Excuse me. And then you're just gonna put it in the water. I'm gonna do one at a time. So I do it backwards first, just so the whole thing gets wet. As soon as you put it in, it kind of curls. And you're gonna want a paper towel also. So you just want to leave it in there for a minute or 2. When you pick it up and it's starting to lift away like that, that's when you know it's ready. So I'm gonna put this one on this one here. And you kind of want your surface a little wet. Let me just zoom in here. Just make sure that's wet. You want your surface just a little wet so it's easier for you to manipulate. And you can just slide it right on. And kind of position it. I should do this one on the white one. I'm actually gonna switch it up. Hold on one second. There you go, that looks better. That was a little lighter than I thought. I'm just holding it up to make sure it's kind of straight where I want it to be. Okay. So it's in place, and you're just gonna smooth it out a little bit and just make sure it's exactly where you want. That's pretty straight. And then you're gonna take a paper towel and you're just gonna dab it. And this is soaking up excess water. And then you'll want to kind of run your fingers along it to make sure there's no bubbles underneath. And once this is completely dried, you should not see any of the white edges. Now you can let this sit for an hour or so to make sure it's completely dry before you add your resin to the top of that. Now let's do the other one. Alright. And I'm just gonna put that right in, and you can see it's, as soon as you put it in, it curls up. But I wanna make sure it's submerged in the water. That's why I like to start on the back side, so I can kind of push it flat. And then I'll flip it over. Okay. I'm gonna do this one here. You just pick it up and kind of just gently slide it around to see if it comes off the backing. And this one is ready to go. And I'm just gonna slide it right on there. I'm just gonna hold it up just to see if I like where it's positioned. And with it being wet, it gives you a lot of playtime with it. If it starts to dry and it starts to stick to your fingers, you could just wet your fingers to kind of reactivate that to where it's wet. Alright. Okay, so instead of sitting here for an hour or so letting these dry, I'm just gonna use my heat gun. So they're completely dry now. There's no bubbles underneath of it that I can see. So now we got our lamp back out and our UV resin, and we're just going to do one coat on the top to seal it, and it will be completely finished. So let's do the llama one first. Guys, sometimes with the glitter it's hard to see if you're missing any spots. Sometimes you gotta kind of get like eye level. With it so you can see if you missed any spots. And I like to go over this one a couple of times because this is your final coat and it's on the very top of the keychain, so this is really what's the coat that matters. Alright, so it looks level enough for me, and I'm just going to put that under. And while that one's under, we're going to work on the other one. One other thing I wanted to just mention with this one, it is faster using the UV resin, but if you're trying to save money doing it or getting the most keychains done out of your resin or whatever you're sealing it with, I will say that sealing with epoxy is way cheaper because they don't sell these bottles of resin in craft stores like Michael's or Joann's or AC Moore. You can't use coupons for them, and this bottle was like $17 or $18 on Amazon. With the epoxy, the Amazing Clear Cast, it's normally like $22 or $23, but you can always get that with get it with a 50% off, 40% off, or 60, whatever is out at the time. But I've never bought a full price box of the Amazing Clear Cast epoxy, so usually I only spend about $12 and you get so much more, so you can actually make more keychains than what you can with the resin. This one over here. And I'm just going to move my llama one over to the side, and I'm going to push this one in, and again about 2 to 4 minutes or until it's just not sticky. So we'll be right back. So they're both finished, and this is the outcome. Unfortunately, this one's not showing up so well, I guess because of it's like a lighter color. So this one I actually should have done on like a black base or a really dark base instead of like the white. But I can always just put a dark layer over top of it and redo it. It's not that big of a deal, and it's all trial and error. But I wanted to show you that you can't, once you put the epoxy or the UV resin over top of the water slide, you can't really see edges where you cut unless you actually look for it. This one you can see more. It's still kind of like pastel colors, so again, the next time I do this image, I would probably do it on a darker background. Maybe not a black, I'm not 100% sure what color I would do it on, but I would definitely do it on darker than just a white. But just so you guys can see, you only see the edges if you're actually looking super hard for it. And then while I have you here, I know a couple people have asked about how to open the jump loops. So I'm just gonna add that onto the keychain real quick. This is a steel jump loop I got from Amazon. The blanks I ordered do come with these jump loops as part of the hardware along with the key ring, but the ones that come with it as of the moment are aluminum and they kind of pull open easily. So you'll need your jump ring, your pliers, and needle nose pliers, or just a second pair of pliers. And you want to use like a twisting method, and you're just gonna pull it to the side to open it. Sorry. And just put that in there, and then do the same thing to close it. And I'm just going to put that in there so I don't have to thread it through. And there you have it. Your completed keychain. This is one that I had everybody asking about. That owl. This one came out beautifully because it is really dark against that white background. It's so pretty. And again, this is the white here. I added the white acrylic paint to the glitter. That way I can kind of give a more solid background than having just the glitter. And this is my logo keychain I made myself. So this one was my first water slide. I'm still learning as I go, so if you have any suggestions or any questions, feel free to message me and I will try my best to help you. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.